Good morning, Glassboro. I'm Chad Whitman.
I'm Greg Sharon.
And I'm Alexander Heller, and this is Every Whit Way. Today in our first podcast, we discuss who we are, our overall goal, and outline for the podcast, and future topics we might shed light on. And later, we will talk about the future after college and the anxiety that comes with it, both for us and students everywhere. And finally, a recap of the news throughout the week. Over the past decade and a half, journalism has experienced a metaphorical facelift. From pushing online articles to making short videos on the internet, journalism is currently experiencing a sort of renaissance in storytelling and discussion. Because of this, more and more people are getting into the profession. There are a variety of reasons as to why people and students are getting into this field, and I want to tailor back this idea to us. What would you guys say motivated you to get into journalism in the first place? Chad, you can start if you want.
I really don't know what made me want to get into journalism. I think I've always had a respect for the media and the sort of watchdog mentality, the mentality that you can be a voice to the voiceless. I've always respected that a lot. And I studied communications in high school, so I think journalism was something that was always in the back of my mind. And it was something that I felt like I could really excel in with my background.
Yeah, I never did that in high school. When I was in high school, I literally just sat there, did nothing. I didn't participate in any. Oh, excuse me. I didn't participate in any clubs per se, but what I did was just like, God, I feel like I'm such an old man. I'm 24 years old, and I'm just like talking to like my discussions and my past back in high school. I think what I did, what got me into journalism probably was 2016 in general. I had a lot of family members and friends sharing a lot of stupid like memes and facts that weren't completely true. And I saw a bunch of people do it on the internet, like, fact check and all that stuff. And I pretty much proved, like, one of my friends wrong with, like, this weird conspiracy theory that, that Pizzagate that happened in 2016.
The Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, I effectively proved that wrong to one of my friends, and immediately he unfriended me. Good. So I was like, wow.
Good.
Quick question for you, Alex, then. Yeah. Before journalism, what were you thinking of doing?
Oh, I wanted to be a history major.
Okay.
And I wanted to be a history teacher, to be a little bit more exact. And then the more I did it, I felt like it was more like a general ed class thing. Because that's what I did at OCC.
Okay.
And if I'm going to be honest here, like, it was really just I was really just like not putting my whole effort into it because this was stuff I already knew. You know what I mean? And some personal things happened, and then I was like, okay, maybe I take a year off and save some money and maybe decide what I want to do. So I did that, but during that time I did a lot of odd jobs. I opened and closed pools. I
do that every summer.
I know, it's good money.
Knows a lot about that.
I worked at ShopRite. Represent ShopRite. What up?
Sponsor us, ShopRite.
Yes, sponsor us, ShopRite. I love you. No, like ShopRite really was really good to me for a good number of years. I think 2015, 2016, that's when I took my year off. They treated me really like family, and the money was just so good to the point where I'm just like, what's the point of going to school? And then 2016 happened, and so on and so forth. And then I decided, okay, maybe I can try to get into this. And then one summer, that same summer, when I was opening and closing pools, the guy I was working with asked the same questions that you guys are asking. He's like, oh, what do you want to do? What are you going to be doing? Blah, 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 blah. And I said, I don't know. I'm interested in history, and I really like writing. And he's like, oh, so you like history and you like writing. Why don't you just go into journalism then? It's pretty much the same thing like that. And it's a lot more creative.
Yeah, you need to know your whole history.
Yeah,
because
and it can't.
Yeah,
I feel like by extension, journalists are the makers of history. They're breaking these monumental stories that are changing the world as we see it, the world as we know it. So yeah, you could say that like you have to know history to make history.
Exactly. And I thought it was just something that like really resonated to me. I was like, okay, maybe I can definitely do this. And then I was at that same year when I was at ShopRite and working at least 1 or 2 jobs during that time. I was like, okay, let's do this. I need money, but I want to go to school. I don't care if I have to like loan out almost $30,000. I want to do this. Like, this is something I want to do, and I've been here since, I want to say, late 2017, and I've loved it ever since. I love doing it. This is something I actually want to do for the rest of my life.
That's awesome. Yeah, I feel that too. Kind of like going off of what Chad said. I also started in high school. I really loved sports, and every time when I was little, I would turn off the sound on my video games, and I'd broadcast the game. I'd do the play-by-play stuff
really?
while
That's
I
funny.
played. So I really wanted to do that. So I took a journalism class in high school. My journalism teacher, shout out Mr. Russ, was the absolute man. He was super cool, really was passionate about it, and I took 3 years of journalism. In my senior year, there was no more journalism classes to take at my school.
Really?
So I just became the editor of the paper. And then when I came to Rowan, before coming to Rowan, I was really hyped to be a political journalist. I was I'm gonna save the world and all this stuff. And then kind of like you with 2016 kind of hit, and I was dude, I don't want to do this at all. I was sitting there and I was this is awful. Everything that's going on both sides, people are just getting yelled at for kind of doing their job for their certain publication that they're working for. And I was dude, I don't want to make people angry. I want to make people happy. I want to tell them cool stories. And I kind of figured that out as I went through school here.
Yeah.
So I kind of like doing that. I worked at a small paper over the summer, and that was kind of cool. I got to do more happy stories than damn, this is depressing type stuff. So
it's funny that you say I don't want to make people angry. I don't know. I feel in journalism I really don't have that mentality. I want to make people angry. I want to, not that I purposely want to piss people off, but I want to make people uncomfortable. I want to make people think. I want to make people reevaluate what they know and what they think they know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm on the same vein too, because again, what you said before, bringing voice to the voiceless. I really like that sort of mentality, but I also like giving new facts and ideas to a lot of new people. Definitely. And just shedding a light on a subject that nobody has ever thought about. That, what's that one show, Last Week Tonight? I love that show because because he's hilarious, and he's able to shed new light onto certain subjects that nobody really cares about or looks into. I think my favorite episode is probably the evangelical one, where they're pretty much doing this illegally but not illegal at the same time, because they can get away with it. They're practically stealing money away from poor innocent people. And I was damn, that's something I really want to get into. Unfortunately, I'm not that funny, so I can't keep people's attention through that.
I
but
think you're pretty funny. Come on, give yourself some credit.
I would say on a scale to 1 to 10, I would say I'm at best a 6. Get me drunk enough, I'll probably be an 8.
I'll be an 8. Yeah,
I'll be an 8.
There's one John Oliver that I personally really like. He looks at the state of pro wrestling healthcare with WWE.
Yeah, I saw that.
Fun fact for everyone, I love pro wrestling. I do a lot of pro wrestling
coverage.
coverage.
It's a fun fact. It's a known fact.
So it's his whole personality.
It really is.
Yeah, legit. So this is a great time for me. A lot of great wrestling going on. But yeah, John Oliver looked into that, and it was really, really good. I think it shed light and kind of pressured WWE. But at the same time, they're such a big corporation that they can do whatever they want. So
yeah,
kind of sucks, but whatever.
Yeah. So with that being said, what are you hoping to get out of the podcast? Greg, you start too.
Honestly, one, for a selfish reason, it's great experience. This is kind of cool to say we helped do this. But also I think Rowan has a lot of cool stories to tell that not everyone really thinks about, and I think we can be that kind of voice to the voiceless almost type thing, or shed light on some stories that people don't know about in a cool new, interesting, engaging way, instead of just print with a picture and a couple quotes. We can get people talking in a cool way.
Are you trying to at me?
No, never. I think
this is the editor of the Whit.
This is the news editor.
Yeah.
But this is what I'm saying. I feel like if you have that right with the quotes everything, your written story, then you got like a cool like little audio clip of them hearing their actual voice, and then maybe like a cool video to go with it. I feel like that completely creates a better story. You know what I mean? Kind of.
I gotcha.
So like, it's like a well-rounded story.
Yeah. So I think this is a cool aspect. I think podcasts are really becoming a mainstay in all kinds of media.
Yeah.
Not just journalism, every type of media. So I think this is a cool little thing to try out and experiment.
I'm obsessed with podcasts.
Yeah.
I listen to podcasts every time I'm in the car when I'm not listening to like a new album that comes out or whatever, but I'm obsessed with I love like true crime podcasts. I love news podcasts. I've been listening to the NPR news podcast. I've been binging it. Just any free time that I have, just binging it.
Really? NPR?
I love the NPR podcast. There's this podcast called My Favorite Murder, which is phenomenal. It's a phenomenal true crime podcast.
Nice.
Yeah. Noise. It's just so good, and I've just been obsessed with podcasts, and I just think it's such a refreshing change in what journalism is. I feel like radio was the start of podcasting, but now it's you can kind of take a step back and be more in the editing, the post editing process of it. I think it's so interesting and so cool.
Yeah.
And I can talk like I'm a journalism major, but sometimes I struggle to write, but like I can talk your ass off.
Yeah.
I will talk for hours.
See, the thing about this profession is that like there's a lot of people that are really bad at a lot of things, but are really good at some things. You know what I mean? Take for me example. I'm trying to be as like I would say eclectic with my skill sets as possible.
I was gonna say I feel like you're very well rounded.
Somewhat. I'm not good at taking pictures. You're better at taking pictures than I am. Our editor-in-chief, Miguel, he's great at taking pictures. Like
I've seen his work.
It's almost like a piece of art right there. Yeah. But it's interesting to note too that Miguel is Dominican. He's I think he's an immigrant. He's actually a naturalized citizen now.
Hell yeah.
And he voted
in this political climate. Hell yes, power to you.
Yeah, he voted in 2016. That was his first vote. But so going back at some of the skill sets, but he English is his second language, so he doesn't know how to write very well.
Yeah.
So what he does is, okay, he doesn't know how to write well. Maybe I can take pictures better. And that's how you're able to balance that out.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find my little niche right there. I mean, I'm okay at writing. It seems like everybody likes that stuff, but I would say my best skill set is probably like social media wise. Like I know how to do that. Like that is mine. Like I know how to.
Your Twitter pops off, man.
I know. I don't know why it does.
I know.
That Game of Thrones tweet. Though.
I know.
That Game of Thrones.
Oh God, here we go.
Keep his Twitter, everyone. Alex Heller.
Oh my God! To this day, people still like that thing, but that's neither here nor there. I'm being humble right now.
I'm not trying to flex.
I'm not trying to flex, but also trying to flex at the same time. But yeah, like people are trying to. Everybody's. Let me get back to it. Everybody's trying to be as eclectic with their skill sets as possible, but maybe if we just try to focus on one thing and then have everybody else like do focus on their strengths as well, then we could probably like have like a big impact on people's lives story wise.
Definitely.
Because we have our editor-in-chief, Tara. She knows how to do the news thing very well, but her opinion pieces, oh my God, they're very good. Very good. And Miguel thought about being co-editor-in-chief with her because it makes sense. He's great at taking pictures and the multimedia aspect, whereas she is great at the written word right there. So that's how we're able to combine that.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that you want to be well-rounded for your own abilities, or do you feel like there's like pressure in the field of journalism to have all these abilities and to be so proficient in all of them?
I think it's a mix of both. I mean, don't get me wrong. If you know how to do one thing very, very good, people will hire you.
Yeah.
But it's a lot easier to know for a fact if you know how to do like Audacity, Photoshop, you know how to take a decent picture, and you know how to write well, and you can find and scrape data. record audio very well. Like if you know how to do all of those, people will hire you regardless. So I guess it's a mixed bag. If you find your niche and then you like blow up because of it, props to you. You know how to do that. But I think now, it's a little bit more in the latter stage. Like it's a lot easier to be very eclectic with your skill set. And so I think it's just, to me, it's going to be easier finding a job if you know how to do a lot of things. Yeah. You know what I mean? But that's just my opinion.
Yeah,
totally. I mean, like if you know how to do podcasting very well and know how to blow up your social media, people will hire you like that, like instantly. It's like, oh my God, we haven't thought about doing that. Let's hire these guys. They know how to do this stuff. Yeah. Like, let's do that. And I think that's something that a lot of people our age should be looking into. Like, find the one thing you know how to do. Yeah. And then
practice that.
Practice,
and
yes.
Also, to like bounce off what you said about finding your one thing, find something also, I think, like that you're passionate about covering, because then it's not like a chore to cover it. Like, I want to go to this certain thing and do it. Like, I love music. I love wrestling. Like, I like covering. I like wrestling. You always got to talk about it. But like, I think when you cover it like that, it doesn't become work, and you're enjoying yourself at that point. At the same time, and granted, like you're not always gonna pick what you can do or what you want to do, kind of thing. But I feel like if you have that basis and you're really good at it, you can kind of go towards a field and like get into that.
So, seeing as how we're going to be doing more episodes and making more episodes like this, what topics would you guys want to discuss later on?
I would love to talk about everything, even stuff that I'm not particularly into. But for me personally, I would love to talk a little bit about some local businesses in the area. I think that would be really cool to talk about. I think it'd be cool to mention music in the area. I think music is a big part of Glassboro culture now. I feel like. Especially
Rowan. Like I've been seeing a lot of like music stuff popping on
Greg
Twitter.
Greg and I have
shout out our great friends. They do some really cool stuff in the music scene.
I'm involved in the Rowan Alternative Music Club. They've done a lot for the Glassboro music scene. 4333 has done a lot. There's been so many local bands that have just come out of Rowan, and they're just like amazing. It's really cool to see. So I'd love to talk about them. I'd love to talk about mental illness. I think that's something that's really important to.
When you mean mental health or mental illness, I think
mental health, but in a sense, talk about what it's like to suffer from a mental illness. You know what I mean? I feel like a lot of people don't. I was actually just having this conversation with someone the other day, but it's hard to understand what it's like to live with a mental illness if you don't have one. Yeah. So I'd love to kind of like break down what that's like and how to help someone who has it. For someone that doesn't have it, I would love to be able to help them help someone that does. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think it's also very important to talk about mental health because we are men. You know what I mean? I feel like that's something that's not really like accepted or open to talk about yet. And I would love to like kind of start a conversation regarding mental health and men and how that affects society.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's an interesting like point of view right there. I would love to like hear more about that. Yeah,
I would love to talk about it in full episode.
What about you, Greg?
Like I was kind of saying before, I really like hearing stories that not a lot of people know too much about. Like especially I kind of like it too when I learn through my reporting or through interviewing people stuff I didn't know previously. I've done a couple stories before where I really had no idea about it before I started. I did my research. Once I started talking to whoever I was talking to, I learned even more. And at the end of the day, I got to take away this really cool experience, and then I'm that much more well-rounded and like knowledgeable on things. So I think telling stories that maybe I don't know too much about to learn about it, and also telling stories that are kind of little like hidden type things that are cool and will bring smiles to certain people's faces or make people question like, oh, like I should really like think about that more kind of thing. So that's what I'm looking to get out of.
Yeah, I guess I'm like on the same boat sort of. Like I should have brought my book with me. Like I had so many ideas that we could talk about. I like talking about like big stories that impact small areas. You know what I mean? Keep a net. I think one of our professors, I think it was Dulio who said this, that maybe you should look into a national story in a localized area, like keep it localized. And I like that sort of thing. We have this segment called Word on the Street where we talk to Rowan students about certain big issues. And I like getting people's like probably stories and aspects to certain ideas. But I think shedding a light on like certain things with like that impact a lot of people and has like a huge influence on people. I think that's like imperative to like discuss right there.
For sure.
Yeah, definitely.
So I guess we'll leave it at that. Coming up after the break, we look at what the future holds for college students, both at Rowan and across the country. So yeah, that's going to be very interesting. We'll see you soon. And we're back. So as we all know, more and more kids are attending college, and as the number of kids attending college rises, so too does the cost. College debt has now surpassed both credit card debt and mortgage payments, and has largely resulted in college students, especially those about to graduate, being left in perpetual anxiety about their futures. Given that context, seeing how we're all seniors and whatnot, what would you guys say is the most common concern or worry, rather, regarding life after college? Greg, your thoughts?
Definitely finding a job for me is the number one. Yeah. We're in a very competitive field. Mm-hmm. It's very fortunate that we're so close to a major city of Philadelphia, another city in New York, Baltimore's right over here. So we have big cities by us, which is a great aspect. But my other huge thing, along with getting a job, obviously, is how I'm going to pay my loans back. Mm-hmm. I don't even really know how much I'm in debt right now.
But that's not good.
All I know is it's really not good. Thank God for the FAFSA loans, because they don't accrue interest until once you're out of school. So woohoo FAFSA. I had to take a couple other privatized loans out, so they've been accumulating. So that's scary.
Yeah.
I have 4 older sisters. They all went to college. They all had to take out loans. Only one of my sisters has paid off her college loans completely.
How old is she?
And she is 34. And
it's not bad.
Not bad. She has also had she didn't really leave she stayed lived with my parents and had free housing for a while with like the type of jobs that she had, so she didn't have to pay for extra bills. So I think it's really just, for me, my biggest anxiety is finding a job right after school or a couple months after school or whatever, and then finally paying back all those loans, because I feel like it's going to be probably like 40 years until all those guys are completely gone. So that's my big
Assuming there's going to be a world to pay off your debt.
Climate change.
Ooh, yeah, that's one thing we should talk about.
What about you, Chad?
I mean, I think kind of the same thing. Just getting a job is scary. Being out in the real world. Think about it. This is going to be the first time. I don't know about you, but in my life, this is the first time that I haven't been in school since I was 4. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know how to live life without being in school. You know what I mean? It's going to be a big adjustment, and that's something I'm anxious about. Being able to adjust to life outside of school. Mm-hmm. And then just being able to pay back my student loans. That's something. And also, college gives you a lot of independence, and I'm also worried about having that independence kind of taken back, just because I'm going to be limited on a lot of options, because I have a lot of debt and I have a lot of things to pay for and a lot of things to worry about. So it's something that's always in the back of your mind. But
I feel that. I mean, I guess, like, to me, that whole year off pretty much put my life in perspective, where I was like, okay, I don't want to be at ShopRite. I don't want to be opening and closing pools for like the rest of my life. This isn't something I want to do. And I see college as an investment. Mm-hmm. And I think it's something not a lot of kids our age think about. Like, they just think, oh, I'm going to go to college right out of high school. I was very fortunate enough not to do that, because I went to community college first for my first 2 years for my, I think, associates. That's the associates, right?
Yeah, associates.
So it's like I got it from my associates, and I didn't have to worry about paying all that much. Now I'm sort of like somewhat stressed about paying it back, but all my loans are through FAFSA. I have no private loans whatsoever. So I'm actually happy for the U.S. government because I can actually pay them however I want, and it's not going to be that much of a burden all that much on me. I think the last time I checked, I had close to at most $20,000 in debt.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, I know.
That's
Yeah,
really fantastic.
that's awesome.
That's the last time I checked when I was doing my taxes last year. And yes, I'm 24 years old and I know how to do my taxes. Thanks, TurboTax.
Wow. Shout out to my parents. They help me do my taxes because I'm a child. Yeah, I think I'm pushing $30,000 in debt. Oh. That's not including credit card debt. Shout out to my credit card company.
My biggest problem was my first year at Rowan because I had to live on campus, so I had the housing bill to pay, and that was a lot. I've been in RA for the last 3 years, so what's really cool about that job is they pay for your housing. Nice. So that was a really huge thing for me to alleviate loans through that, and then that's why the last 2 years I've only needed FAFSA loans. Yeah. So yeah, like money's scary.
Yeah, I know.
Money is scary.
Realizing this, what advice would you give your younger selves, knowing what you know now?
Ooh, save a lot more money. Yeah. Even when you think you have no money, put a portion of your paycheck away, even if it's a $200 paycheck from McDonald's. Save.
I wish myself currently could take that advice because I'm like the worst. I'm the worst when it comes to saving, but 100%. Also, I wish I kind of just did more research about scholarship opportunities. Because I know there's scholarships for like everything, and if I just did a little bit of research, I'm sure I could have like gotten like $100 scholarship here, a $200 scholarship like here, and whatnot. Just like any little bit would have helped.
The little bits matter. It chips away at the
100%.
The scholarship thing for me, definitely. That was probably the one thing I should have told myself, like, this is what you need to do, regardless if it's like, oh, you need to send like a 2-page essay as to
that's me exactly. Like, as soon as I see you have to write a 500-600 word essay, like, no, I'm not doing it now. And it's like, what are you doing? That's going to take me 20 minutes to do.
For at most $1,000 for a scholarship.
Yeah, exactly.
Like 20 minutes where I have a possibility that I could like get like a few $100s.
Yeah.
Like, should have done it.
To be fair, I also blame it on high schools too, because they don't give it. They don't like let them know.
Why was I learning pre-calc that I've never used a day in my life when I could have been learning about financial responsibilities and how to keep a checkbook and how to file my taxes and how to apply for loans,
how to fix a car,
like how to cook anything but ramen.
I had a cooking class.
Okay, I can't front. I did have a cooking class.
To be fair though,
I'm pretty sure we made omelets in my cooking class though.
Omelets aren't that hard. Like, oh my god, my mom, she is like the best cook ever. Oof. And thank God for her for teaching me how to like to cook right there. I know how to make fried chicken. I know how to make spaghetti and meatballs, homemade sauce, all that stuff.
Next podcast, Alex is bringing dinner dish.
I second that. I'll bring garlic bread. That's all I can make.
Oh my god. So yeah, what do you guys think needs to happen to alleviate that stress and anxiety right there?
Student debt forgiveness. Dare I say?
I mean, I think that's fair.
I think it's an option. I don't think it's the answer, but I think it's an option.
It is an option. I think this is where you and me, or actually, I think this is where I'm going to differ on most of you guys right there. I think, like I said before, I think college is an investment. But I also understand the struggle that a lot of kids go through. Like, you made that conscious decision to go to college. No one forced you to do that unless you have, like, So unless, like, that were to happen. The way I see it, you should, if you're able to refinance a loan from your house and your car, you should do the same for student loans.
What I kind of find interesting, I know New York put this idea into place. I don't know if it passed into law or if like it even was like brought up as a bill, but I know they had this idea going that if you were a college student in New York, you still took out like loans or whatever, you paid to the college or whatnot, but if you stayed and lived in the school, if you stayed and lived it like in the state for 5 years afterwards and worked, you got forgiveness from your loans. And like I think that is a really cool idea.
Yeah.
I also think loans, I think there's a pressure, like you were saying, like kids just going straight out of high school into college.
Yeah.
I think there's a pressure that if you don't have a college degree, you're not going to be able to get a job in any field or whatever. So I think that pressure really causes kids, I have to go to college.
Yeah.
There's nothing else that I can do. I need to go to college. I need to get a degree. That's how I get a job. So I think just changing the idea of how to be successful, how to get money, how to like get a good job without getting a college degree, I think that needs to be taught as well.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I think Pete Buttigieg said it best, where he said, yes, we should make college affordable, but we should also make not going to college affordable as well. Like investing in a lot of trade schools while also like going on the side for like, I don't know, like liberal arts or even journalism, because the skills that we're learning here are most likely are skills based. Definitely. It's a skill.
Yeah.
Like we are learning a skill and maybe somewhat of a trade, you know what I mean? That depends on how, your point of view.
Yeah, 100%.
But this is definitely a skill that we're learning here so far. So, lastly, do you feel the college experience was worth it?
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, there's aspects of it that I think are worth it. I think gaining that independence from your parents when you're young, I think is important in the sense that you should get to know yourself independent of your parents. You should get to a level of independence financially when you're away at college. I think you should explore creative bounds, you know, when you're in college. I think social aspect, I think, is really important in developing in society. I think for the well-being of society, I think college is kind of important. Just like everyone getting on the same level of higher education, I think is very important. Yeah, I think that's...
I 100% agree. I think college is 100% worth it if you know that's what you want to do. For me personally, college really taught me a lot of things in the classroom and then out of the classroom.
Yeah.
I learned a lot about different ethnicities of people that I became friends with, that I've had no experience.
Diversity
that I've had
is so important.
Exactly. I've had no experience with, and they've really taught me, kind of shed light on certain things. And I was like, wow, thank you. I've said this to a lot of them and said, thank you so much for like teaching me that.
Yeah.
Because that's something that I would have never experienced if I stayed where I was from, if I didn't go out and teach it or try new things, meet new people. So I really appreciate that. And I think college for me was worth it even in that little amount, regardless of everything else that I've learned on top of that.
I think going to college straight out of high school isn't worth it. It's not worth it. That's my opinion. But going to college just to figure it out for like community college, I cannot stress enough, go to community college. Go to community college where you can just get your associates, you can figure out what exactly you want to do without having to like change your major while still being on a 4-year college, or even like you're stuck there, you might as well stay there for the rest of the year, like 4 years there. I think community college needs to be stressed for a lot of different reasons. And I think overall, the overall college experience, yes, it's definitely worth it. It's totally worth it if you're going to be, if you know what exactly what you're going to do. I'm going to say the same thing what you're saying, Greg. Like, if you know exactly what you want to do, and this is like, oh, I want to do this, pursue it. I that's fine. Like, I don't care if you're going to college. Like, when I have a kid, or if I have a kid, praying the world stays around. But if I do have a kid and he knows exactly what he wants to do right out of college, or like during college, I will pay for it. If he's gonna be like, or excuse me, if he or she isn't going to be like knowing
or they,
excuse me, thank you.
Come on, let's be
progressive.
Accurate. Come on.
If they're going to be like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to be doing, then I'm not going to support them. I think that's fair. You know what I mean? Because that's the way I was raised.
Yeah.
So, and I'm pretty sure that's what a lot of people were raised on.
Yeah.
So.
But I also think that I don't know if I want to be a parent, but if I was to have a kid, I'm not sending my child to college for the college experience. I'm sending them to college for an education.
Yes.
And that's most important.
Amen.
So if I hear my kid is out here
getting blacked out on the weekends and not going to class,
Yeah.
I'm ripping them out of college.
Yeah.
Like no, then you can do something else that we're not. Because I think with the money aspect and how much it impacts your future, I think the education obviously is the most important part of the college experience.
Yeah, of course. So, you know what? I think we'll leave it at that. We'll be right back after the break. Here's what else you need to know this week. According to Rowan University's annual security and fire safety report, while the overall crime rate has dropped 24% between 2016 and 2018, sexual offenses such as rape and fondling have been steadily rising, with rape increasing 75% and fondling increasing 120%. Rowan's Senior Director of Public Safety, Reed Layton, said that with the student population rising and more individuals coming forward to report them, these sorts of crimes have risen exponentially. And the Whit reports that the nearly 50 students that were living in the Marriott Hotel at Rowan Boulevard has dramatically decreased. Though some students are still waiting housing, the number has dropped from the nearly 50 students that were stationed during the beginning of the summer. Every Whit Way is produced by Greg Sharon, Chad Whitman, and Alexandria Heller. Our editor is Greg Sharon. Our music is brought to you by Jace Williams, and our executive producers are Tara Lonsdorf and Miguel Martinez. That's it for Every Whit Way. Thank you for listening. See you next week.